It's no secret that Disney isn't doing well lately. They just laid off nearly 15% of the workforce at Pixar, their movie studio that used to produce guaranteed hits. But Pixar's recent films, Elemental and Lightyear, were bombs, and the division hasn't turned a profit in more than 2 years. People just didn't go for the strained interracial immigrant metaphor in Elemental, or the same-sex kiss in Lightyear, or the kind of rehashed, stale vibe of both projects. Additionally,
well, better late than never. So welcome back to Views with Hughes, Jennifer News. This is Jerome Hughes, and today I'm going to discuss how Matt Walsh is destroying Disney based on the latest blunder of the Acolyte. Okay, so Matt Walsh here is talking about Disney's struggles, including with the Acolyte and everything, and how woke the Acolyte is and stuff. And basically, he's definitely turning into it. So I'm going to go ahead and play more of the video right here. But just to make you all help y'all understand, Matt Walsh, he's familiar with what's happening with Disney, but not as deep as you would think. So let's go and get right back into it.
Additionally, Disney's much touted fully immersive Star Wars hotel called the Galactic Star Cruiser shut down late last year after operating for less than 2 years. Disney had spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the project, apparently on the theory that people cared so much about the Star Wars brand that they'd be willing to spend thousands of dollars for the privilege of staying 2 nights in a windowless concrete building posing as a spaceship. That didn't pan out. Apparently, people aren't excited to stay in a hotel where the experience is seemingly designed to be as aggressively unpleasant as possible. That same quarter, Disney's streaming service, Disney Plus, reported a loss of more than 1 million subscribers. That's not even getting into the Disney's decision to get involved in Florida politics on the side of activist teachers who want to talk to kindergartners about gender identity and sexual orientation. Faced with this brand collapse, Disney had 2 options. One option was to retool their content to focus on entertainment and family values instead of activism, which is what Disney used to do when it was a universally beloved and much more financially successful company. They could get back to their roots, in other words. And not in the sense of churning out more remakes, but in the sense of being a company that makes wholesome family films that capture a real sense of wonder and imagination.
Okay, so before I continue, I'm going to go ahead and give you all some key points that he's talking about in this video, as well as what you're going to hear from. Basically, he's talking about Matt Walsh is talking about the layoffs at Pixar, where he said that nearly 15% of the workforce was laid off due to the underperforming movies. Okay, then there's also the different financial losses, where Matt Walsh said that Pixar has turned a profit in over 2 years, and Matt Walsh also dove into Star Wars hotel failure, where the Galactic Star Cruiser hotel shut down after less than 2 years. And then there's also, he's going to talk about the Disney Plus decline, where the streaming service lost over 1 million subscribers in recent quarter. And then there's also the controversial content that movies like Lightyear and shows like The Acolyte face backlash for different political agendas. And then there's also the agenda-driven content, or this woke, in other words, woke, where Matt Walsh talks about how Disney continues to produce content with a strong political and social messaging. And then there's also Matt Walsh talking about the whole fan alienation, where Disney focuses on woke and is seen as driving away traditional audiences. In other words, their core audiences. And then Matt Walsh also talks about theme park changes, where even the theme park attractions are being rethemed to align with the content and stuff that's with the current social trends and stuff. So, and then there's also what he calls the corporate inertia, where the video games that the corporate bureaucracy sustains these trends despite declining popularity. Now, in my opinion, Matt Walsh should stay away from the talk of video games, because of the simple fact that there's like a lot of gamers out there in the gaming community who are still angry with Matt Walsh, as well as don't even trust his judgment or his views on people, on gamers and playing video games and stuff. But I'm going to let him continue. So the fact of the matter is, he's also going to talk about a broader corporate trend where similar issues are seen in other companies and not just Disney. Okay, so I'm going to let him continue.
Berg and Leslie Headland worked on rom-coms with titles like Sleeping with Other People. So those are their credentials, and they're considered impressive in the industry, I guess. So they get to continue butchering Star Wars. By the way, The Acolyte was released this week. I think it was released yesterday. And as has become a new tradition for Star Wars films and shows, it has a very high critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, like 88%, but a failing grade of 45% from the audience. That is the dynamic we always see now with these things. Joel Berry, who apparently subjected himself to at least some of the show, offered this review, quote, "The Acolyte is a queer Marxist vandalization of the myth of Star Wars. In The Acolyte, the Force is a metaphor for cultural hegemonic power. The Jedi are a metaphor for cisgender white oppressors who hoard the power for themselves." Yes, it really is that obnoxious and stupid. The account Wall Street Silver offered this viewer warning, quote, "The Acolyte Star Wars new series streaming is very woke. Number one, main character has two mothers. Number two, main Jedi characters are all black and Asian, no white men. And number three, only speaking role for white men in first episode is prisoners on a prison ship." So Disney has decided to right the ship by ramming it directly into another iceberg. And that's not to pick on the Acolyte too much, although it obviously deserves it. Because of the fact that Disney is now pumping out Star Wars shows on an assembly line, there's another one that I can mock as well. It's called Tales of the Empire. This one is apparently geared towards kids, and I guess it features a non-binary Jedi based on
So we see here that he's actually done his homework. Let's go and continue.
how all the characters use they, them pronouns to refer to this corpse. Watch this. I think we played this once before, but here it is again. If you can get through it, here it is. Watch.
They're still alive. We need to get them to the ship. We can save them.
Forget it. Let them die. It's not worth the trouble.
They were about to surrender.
Irrelevant. The Jedi are a threat to be eradicated wherever they are found.
Oh yeah, we did play that before because I remember now. That's the one where the bad guy, I guess it's a bad guy, kills someone, but then still respects that person's pronouns after having murdered them. So that's nice at least. This is the result of Disney's big plan to focus on entertainment and not messaging. We have non-binary Jedis and girl bosses making sure we have the gayest Star Wars ever. And that's not all. As Bloomberg recently reported, Disney is now banking on the upcoming film Inside Out 2 as the, quote, key to restoring the magic. They think that this film, a sequel to a movie from 2015, is going to be a smash hit to the point that they're going to give it a 100-day run in theaters. As Bloomberg reports, quote, "If families show up for Inside Out 2 in the kinds of numbers Pixar used to see, it will reaffirm the studio's standing. But if the movie fails, it will fuel concerns about the company's relevance." And by the way, the whole article is kind of funny because it's all about how Disney, they've come up with their brilliant strategy to get back on track. And their brilliant strategy is to do more sequels and remakes. That's the strategy. And of course, anyone reads that, like, isn't that what you've been doing the whole time? Isn't that the only thing you've done for 20 years now?
Now, Matt Walsh is right and correct, but at the same time, we've all known about this, but glad to hear from him, though.
Now, what is Inside Out 2 going to be about? It's hard to say because it's not out yet, but after some Googling, I came across this headline from an outlet called Pride.com. And here's their assessment based on the trailer. Quote, "The long-awaited sequel to Disney and Pixar's Inside Out isn't hitting theaters until the summer, but the official trailer dropped this week and it's looking a little gay. Fans think Inside Out 2 is going to be gay as F." Now, how brave is that? Are they also going to, I guess, gayify Inside Out, or maybe they will, which was kind of a middling Pixar entry in the first place. Is that the direction they're going with it? Who knows? But based on the fact that they can't make anything that isn't gay anymore, we can assume that the answer to that question is probably yes. And all of this is very woke. That's true. It's also incredibly lame and stale and unimaginative. And that would also be an apt descriptor for what Disney is doing with its theme parks. As the writer Peachy Keenan documented on Twitter yesterday, Disney is currently re-theming their famous Splash Mountain ride because the ride was racist for some reason. And they're creating a politically correct version of the new ride. So they're doing this even with the rides now. Keenan watched all the Disney's promotional materials and she put together a comparison of the old ride with the new one. Basically, the new ride won't have Princess Tiana in a nice dress with a handsome prince or even a storyline of any kind, I guess, because that's too, archaic and patriarchal. She wrote, quote, "Instead, you get a lot of dead space, repeated boring animatronic who look like zombies compared to the Pirates animatronics. And Tiana, incredibly, in ugly baggy pants, no makeup, no nonsense hair, zero glamour. It's girl boss Tiana, and she's dressed like a Jungle Cruise."
So basically, Matt Walsh is describing how the company is intentionally trying to go ahead and make the characters fit to the social norms and stuff of what we see in today's society with different women, the images of different women who are average women, common women and everything, where they're not wearing any makeup. So basically they're trying to go ahead out there and have the people to try and relate to these characters rather than simply just doing these things to entertain the people.
That's the direction they're going with their theme parks. Sounds thrilling. I was trying to figure out why all this is happening at Disney, why they're sabotaging their own brand, despite what the CEO said they do. And it's clear that whatever's going on here, it's not unique to Disney.
I mean, he should already know that Bob Iger isn't going to live up to what he's promised before. He has broken promises. He's known for broken promises. He's not going to make he's not going to make Disney less woke. He's going to make it even more woke. We all know that. It's just I wish that Matt Walsh would actually get that correct.
Consider what just happened at Cracker Barrel. Their CEO is a woman named Julie Fels Massino. She took the job last year. Previously, she worked at Taco Bell, Mattel, Sprinkles Cupcakes, Starbucks, and Macy's. And of course, the clientele of every single one of those companies is different from the typical Cracker Barrel clientele, which skews older. But in general, her old jobs were mostly in the food industry, just like the Acolyte showrunners' jobs were mostly in the entertainment industry. And that's good enough. So Julie Massino got the job. Unfortunately, it's not working out too well. Massino just announced on a call with investors that the company is, quote, just not as relevant as we once were. Because, when you think of Cracker Barrel, you think of something that you think of relevant. That's why Cracker Barrel's customers go there, is because it's so relevant. But now it's not as relevant, so they need to make it relevant again, she said.
All right, so we have Matt Walsh talking hard on Disney, especially on the woke Acolyte show. But yeah, Matt Walsh did share some good thoughts and some informative thoughts as well. And Matt Walsh is on point with all of this. And it seems like Matt Walsh has actually done his research, and he's done it very well. Man, basically all the things that he talked about here, I've also talked about on previous videos and stuff, not only when it comes to the Acolyte, but also in woke Disney stuff in general. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have on this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead and smash the like button and share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, and you enjoy all the content that I put out there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notification so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Until then, peace.